So what we have here is an FBI badge set, valid in most states.
Florida.
It's actually too dark to hear and read, but it says some very nice things about Bob's professionalism and his reporting skills over the years and our relationship with him. So I'll let people look at that afterwards. But
that's awesome.
Again, on behalf of the director and all your friends at the FBI, we're going to miss you. So thanks for that. We're not quite done yet, Bob, but just on the fun side, here's a set of official, properly inflated FBI golf balls.
Will these stay out of the woods?
Yeah, I think they should bring you good luck, and if not, you can wave around this FBI towel, which hopefully is
I could have used this.
And if the good luck doesn't come, you catch you at the 19th hole, and you can have a little something to relax you.
I know I can use that.
So yeah, the best of everything. Thanks from the FBI.
I appreciate it very much. What are we, Margaret? So I guess it's my turn now, right? Keep it short, right? Yeah, keep it short. I normally, unfortunately, usually work without a net, but I don't trust myself tonight, so forgive me. You won't see this very often. Or go into the notes. First, I want to thank Chris Isham and Jackie Alamani, who put the party together. Chris, as the bureau chief, brought this whole effort together with the help of Jackie. I really appreciate that and all the hard work they've done. On a personal level, I want to thank Chris for being a great leader and also part of our team. I worked the counterterrorism beat with Andy and a cast of thousands, and Chris is right in there too. He's one of the reporters giving me ideas, challenging theories, and I really appreciate that. We've had a special bond, and I'm going to miss it. I'm really blown away by just about all of this. It's overwhelming to see so many people that made the trip from New York. Scott, my good friend Steve over here, Jimmy, Ingrid, Steve Kappas, and all of the folks from New York. I really appreciate them coming down. Jeff, of course, thank you for the nice comments. But I think they'll all understand if I say most of what I have to say about my DC family, because that's really what I think about. I'm kind of born and bred in the DC Bureau. I was criticized sometimes for not leaving the building. I would only say to that, thank God I learned a lot in that building. Had some great times. On a personal level, my two daughters could not be here tonight, but they sent me their congratulations, and I would be remiss if I didn't thank them publicly for all of their understanding, all the interrupted holidays, the Christmas vacations that were canceled. Thank you, Underwear Bomber, and a few other things. They were great, and they were understanding. And of course, my wife, Susie, who has been my rock through all of this. If you think that temper tantrums are bad in the newsroom, if you think you guys caught hell in the newsroom, you have no idea the burden she bears. She's done it with good humor, and she's encouraged me. She did say over the last 5 years, you got to just keep going. Just keep going. But I'm staying with the program, but I'm in her debt. To see so many of my friends from the evening news, because with all respect to the morning folks in 48 hours and 60 minutes and all the platforms, really I'm kind of an evening news guy. I was born in that room. I've lived in that room. I'm the only correspondent that kind of sits in that room. I got tired of going up and down the stairs, to be honest with you, and it was help answering the phones. But to see Bill Plant here, who I respect so much, and David Martin and Wyatt Andrews. I told David earlier, just to play on David Martin's team was a high honor for me, because he and Wyatt and Bill, they're the gold standard. And it's just been so great to work with them over the years. And David Caravello, who came back for kind of a reprise here. David, it's great to see you. All of the producers working over the years, I went through more producers than Liz Taylor went through husbands. But many of them are here. Carter Yang, he's in the crowd. Carter, thank you. Robbie Hendon, who in a couple of years taught me more about familial DNA than I could ever forget. Rob did a great job. And so many others. Paula Reed, who works with me now, and Patty Milton, who works with me now. But I want to spend just a couple of minutes with three people, and I promise we're going to wrap this up, because I hear Solmson in my ear going, okay, come on, throw it back to Pella. Actually, he's going, no, wait, can you stretch? No, I was right the first time. Let's go back to Pella. Yeah. Do you have a question for the anchor? I go, no. Does he have a question for me? No, he wants one from you. Makes no sense to me. Caroline Horn here, who runs our evening news now. I want to say thank you to Caroline. You run a great operation. That newsroom is clicking on all cylinders. And I made the note to my evening news friends the other day that over 22 years, the characters have changed. People have rolled in and they've rolled out. And what's really interesting to me is the same kind of answer the bell collaborative spirit is there. So it's not necessarily the people, it's the culture. And when you're in that room, the culture carries you along. I see that continues, and I think you're in a very good place. You have a strong team, and she's a strong leader. My thanks to her. But finally, and if I've left anyone out, God knows I apologize. It wasn't intentional. And Mike, I didn't mean to pick on you. You're a great pal. Great pal. At the very beginning, there were some guys that made the team the team. The captain of the team was the guy that you probably know the least about, kind of the unsung hero, but he was our glue that held Booth 2 together with Ward and myself. Mike Faulkner. Where is Mike Faulkner? Mike does not come out very often. Mike doesn't come out very often, and Mike does not eat until after dark. So it is safe to eat, Mike. But I told Mike, I said, if you do not come to the party, I'm not going to the party. Because Mike is part of what we are. Whatever that turned out to be, it's in large part because of Mike. One of the best, most earnest people in the business. He was also great for a ride in bad snows. He had a four-wheel drive. He'd always come pick me up. But Mike, I'm in your debt, and we will always be friends. Thanks to Pete Williams, by the way, for coming and saying some nice things, and my old pal Bob Hager. But the other guys, I think you can probably figure out, for the last 18 years, more or less 19 years, where's Andy? Andy has been, for most of those years, on and off, he traveled with Wyatt on the road for a while, and Ward and I got back together after our third marital split for a while. But Andy has been there with me for much of this. And in the last 5 years, this is the guy that has carried an equal share of the load. Whatever success we've had, whatever breakthroughs we've had, whatever kind of news we ever wrote, whatever mistakes we avoided, it was in large part due to Andy. His title is producer. And nothing against producers. This is not, Jeff told me once this is a producer's network. I still think so. But Andy's so much more than that. He's a reporter. He's a journalist. He has every bit the reach I do. The beat's in good shape with Andy. Jeff Pegues is lucky to have him. I was lucky to have him. He's a champion. He's a great friend. Andy, I just want to thank you for keeping me straight. I'll tell you one real quick story. Real quick, I promise. Boston bombing. CNN was on the air and they'd made a terrible mistake. There was an arrest. I had a very good source, a trusted source who I would say was gold-plated. When I asked this person, do you have an arrest? He said, yes, let me check, I think we do. He came back, he said, yeah, we can confirm we have an arrest. This was a top authority in a major government agency. I'm going to the news set. Thank God Scott Pelley was, like me, cautious, and Scott's going, we've got to have this nailed down, we've got to be sure, and I certainly agreed with that, but I had a gold source. I'm sitting there, and we're trying to get a second source, and Andy comes running out to the desk, and he's waving a piece of paper, and all I could see on the piece of paper as I'm on the air out of the corner of my eye, no, exclamation mark, no, underline, no. Andy saved me. Andy saved me, and when we won the Emmy for Boston, I thought, if it wasn't for no on that big piece of paper, that wasn't going to happen.
All right.
finally, I want to talk about my other wife, Ward Chamberlain Sloan. I love Susie. I love Susie, but today I will confess, in an email, after he said to me, "I love you," I said to him, "I love you too." That's a true story. It's somewhere that lives in cyberspace. When I got to the Bureau in 93, they didn't quite know what to do with me. They signed me to the Justice Beat for about a week. I went down and met Mike Gordon and the FBI guys. And about a week later, they fired me from that beat and gave it to Jim Stewart. That's a big mistake. I don't know what they were thinking. Big mistake. God damn it. They asked me to go do airplanes, and the reason they asked me to go do airplanes is because they had this guy at NBC that was pretty good, Bob Hager. He was eating our lunch. I mean, the guy was just a legend. And so they say to Ward, and they say to me, "You guys are going to be the transportation team." And we looked at each other and we kind of shrugged, like, we don't know anything about this. He's a political reporter and producer, and I was a local anchor man. And we're like, airplanes? Okay. We started into airplanes, and after about too many to count, we learned our way around that rope, and we figured that out. And in the end, got a very nice note from our colleague, Bob Hager. That was the first time around. Ward goes off to chase his dreams with politics. That's his mistress. And after he got tired of that, and after Phil Jones maybe elbowed him to the curb, I don't know, he came crawling back, and I took him back gladly. And then we did TWA 800, and that was a lifetime of work in a period of a couple of years. Over time, Ward and I, Andy and I have been together for most of 19 years. Ward and I have been together for 22 years. While we haven't always worked together and even went to the dark side of management, we remained friends. He's a true partner, and I will miss Ward like I will miss all of you. But it doesn't really seem sufficient to say he's a great colleague. He's a great person. The CBS News Bureau is stronger because of him, and I'm better because of him, and I think our coverage was better because of him. Ward, thank you. So, my thanks to everybody for coming. Stephanie, thanks for coming. Another great part of our team. John Pistol, thank you for coming. John, it's great to see you. This has been overwhelming. I told Pete Williams a little while earlier, I said, "Pete, I've got some advice. If and when you ever retire," and believe me, I've been praying that guy would retire for a long time. I mean, he's a tough hombre competitor, but he's great for the business. I said, "Pete, when you decide you retire, you give him a date, and then you leave 10 days earlier. Because believe me, this is hard. This is hard." I appreciate all the good wishes. I appreciate the overly generous emails. I told my wife today, I said, "Man, I'm reading these emails. They're going to start carving Mount Rushmore pretty soon." It's very humbling. It's a mind blower. But I've enjoyed most of my time here. Thank you for your patience and tolerance. Forgive me for my outbursts in the newsroom. They were usually justified because some dumbass producer was asking. No, never mind. I digress. But anyway, thank you so much. I'm overwhelmed by the turnout. Richie, right at you.
Richie!
Right at you. I got you.
Philadelphia!
But again, thank you for coming. I know it's crowded. You're probably thirsty. Chris has agreed to keep the bar open for a bit. So enjoy. And thanks so much. I've enjoyed it.
There you go. The Three Musketeers. There we go. Oh. Somewhere in there. Tony.